Ready for another deep dive? Today we're stepping back in time to Elizabethan England, a world of alchemy, astronomy, and, well, magic.
Lots of magic.
Yeah, and we've got excerpts from Liber Mysteriorum, John Dee's diaries. He wasn't just some backyard magician.
No. Mathematician, astronomer, advisor to Queen Elizabeth I,
A real Renaissance man, but also deeply into the occult.
and convinced he was talking to angels.
With the help of his associate, Edward Kelly, they were trying to tap into, well, divine knowledge, hidden truths, using this method called scrying.
Basically gazing into a crystal ball.
Right, and Kelly would describe what he saw these visions, and Dee, always the scholar, meticulously recorded it all. So let's get into it. What were these angelic encounters really like? Paint us a picture.
Okay, so imagine Dee's study. Candlelight flickering, shadows everywhere.
Yes, you could.
Kelly's staring into this crystal ball. Dee's maybe praying, preparing himself. Suddenly, Kelly starts describing these angels. And get this, they're appearing before a table.
A table? Why a table?
Yeah, it's strange. It's like this constant symbol, but they never really explain it. But anyway, these angels, they weren't all, halos and white robes.
No, what did they look like?
Some were human-like, but others, very different, surreal even. One, for instance, appeared headless.
Headless. That's a little creepy, isn't it? What do you think that symbolizes?
Well, it could be the unknowable nature of the divine,
Yeah.
right? Or knowledge beyond human comprehension. There are lots of interpretations.
So did Dee and Kelly believe all angels were good?
Oh no, they have this whole hierarchy, good and evil. Different angels with different roles, powers.
And they even met one who admitted to being an eluder. Makes you wonder if they could really trust these messages.
Absolutely. That's the big question, isn't it? How do you tell divine truth from, well, trickery, or maybe even your own subconscious?
So more about these hierarchies. What did Dee and Kelly think they meant?
It was like a divine bureaucracy, I guess you could say. Different angels governing different parts of reality. And they thought understanding that was key to figuring out the messages, which angels to trust.
And they thought the angels spoke a special language, right? This angelic language.
Yeah, strange words, letter combinations, symbols. They thought it held power, a key to unlocking hidden knowledge.
Sounds like a code to crack. Did they figure it out?
They thought they were making progress. Dee's diaries are full of tables, diagrams, trying to decode it all, find patterns, assign meanings, but whether they actually cracked it, who knows?
It must have been frustrating. And then there's that book of secrets.
Oh, right. The one with golden pages written in blood, 48 leaves, each a different mystery. Dee and Kelly, they thought it held the key to, well, maybe changing the world. Incredible knowledge.
Changing the world. And did the angels tell them how to use this book?
They did give instructions. 3 people needed for the rituals, and then this line. The 4th is the book, which, lo, is here present.
Almost like the book itself was part of the magic. So was all this knowledge just for them?
Well, they had this apocalyptic vision, thought the world was ending, a new age was coming.
And so they had to decipher everything, prepare.
Exactly. And this is where it gets even more interesting, because Dee was a devout Christian.
Right, so dabbling in magic, talking to angels, that was pretty risky back then.
Yeah, pushing the boundaries, maybe even heresy for some. But England was in turmoil, the Reformation, lots of religious and political change.
So maybe Dee was looking for answers, guidance in uncertain times, and that led him to angels. But it wasn't all smooth sailing, was it?
No, there was doubt, confusion, and Kelly started having problems, couldn't remember his visions, like the connection was fading.
So we've got angels, a secret language, a mysterious book, prophecies, and all this is connected to real history, too.
It's a fascinating mix. History, mysticism, the desire for knowledge.
And this is just the beginning. We'll dive deeper into those angelic messages next.
Yeah, those strange words, those letter combinations. Let's see what we can uncover. Back again. So this angelic language of Dee and Kelly is like a puzzle, right? Full of weird symbols, letter combinations. They were convinced it held the secrets of the universe.
And I'm ready to try and solve it. What did these messages actually look like? Like whole sentences, or more like bits and pieces?
Okay, picture this. You open Dee's diary, and it's page after page of these tables, diagrams, all handwritten.
Organized chaos.
Yeah, very organized. And in those tables, these letter sequences, things like ved, unus, magnus, s, gal, or und, graf, grakfa, tal, stall, stallgon, not, knack, ar, mals, mackles, ger, drux, pal.
Wow, it's like something out of a spell book. Did they have any clue what it meant?
D, he was convinced there were patterns. Even started assigning meanings to some of the words. Thought they were figuring out the grammar, the structure of this divine language.
Talk about a challenge. It'd be like trying to translate a language with no dictionary, no Rosetta Stone, nothing. Did they write down any of their interpretations?
There are notes, annotations in the diaries, but it's so hard to tell what's their interpretation and what the angels might have actually said.
Maybe they were seeing patterns where there were none, or, projecting their own ideas onto the messages.
It's possible. But it's also possible they tapped into something real, something we don't understand about language communication.
That line between faith and, well, maybe delusion, it's pretty blurry with Dee and Kelly, which makes it all the more fascinating. But this whole thing, the angels, the secret language, it feels pretty far outside mainstream religion, even for back then.
Oh, absolutely. Remember, Elizabethan England, the Reformation.
Yeah.
Huge religious and political shifts happening.
So lots of questioning of the old ways.
Exactly. And there was a growing interest in, well, alternative spirituality, hidden knowledge, things like that.
So Dee, a devout Christian, but also drawn to these, let's say, less accepted forms of knowledge.
It's interesting to think about. Did he see it as adding to his Christian faith? Or maybe a different way of understanding the divine? It's hard to know for sure.
I bet some people thought he was, close to heresy.
Oh, definitely. Talking to angels, messing with magic, that was pushing it back then.
And then they were convinced they were getting prophecies, instructions for the apocalypse. What did they think was going to happen?
It's not totally clear.
Mhm.
Some of the messages, they interpreted them as warnings, right? Impending doom, a world-changing event. And they felt this urgency, like they had to decode everything, unlock the secrets of that book of secrets to get through it.
Trying to take control in a world that felt like it was falling apart.
Yeah, exactly. Think about it. The old world was changing. The future was uncertain, maybe scary. Maybe these angels, this knowledge, it was a way to make sense of it all.
To find some kind of guidance. And then there's the connection to real people like Adrian Gilbert, that explorer guy.
Right, involved in all those colonization efforts. Dee and Kelly, they thought the angels had a special role for him, bringing, and I'm quoting here, the name of Jesus among the infidels.
Fits right in with England's ambitions at the time, spreading their influence.
Exactly. They saw themselves as, like, instruments of God's will, using this knowledge to shape history.
It's a wild mix. Ambition, spirituality, nationalism. Makes you wonder how much the politics of the time shaped their thinking.
It's hard to separate, right? Their beliefs from Elizabethan England, their world, the religious tensions, the politics, it all influenced how they understood those angelic messages.
So was it divine guidance or just, their own hopes and fears reflected back at them? Hard to say.
And then Kelly's memory problems. How much of that was external forces? How much was their own doubts, their conflicts?
It's like their whole story is one giant question mark. But that's what's so great about it. It makes you think about your own beliefs, about knowledge, faith, reality.
It really does.
Wow.
We're trying to solve a puzzle with missing pieces. And it seems like every answer just leads to more questions.
And yet, even with all the mystery, there's something really relatable about Dee and Kelly. That desire for knowledge, searching for meaning, struggling with doubt and fear. It's very human.
We're all searching for answers, trying to make sense of the world. And sometimes that search takes us to unexpected places.
Places that challenge our beliefs, push us outside our comfort zone, make us confront what we think we know. But maybe it's in those moments, the uncertain ones, that we find the most important truths.
As we go deeper into Dee and Kelly's story, remember, the answers might not be simple, easy to define. Sometimes the best insights come from accepting the mystery, letting ourselves be challenged by what we don't know.
So we've gone deep into John Dee and Edward Kelly's world, the angels, the prophecies, the cryptic language. But I keep coming back to one question.
Yeah, the big one.
Were they really talking to angels, or was it all, I don't know, their imaginations?
The million-dollar question. A historical mystery that people are still debating, even now.
I mean, you look at Dee's diaries, all those details, those descriptions, the sheer amount of it all. You almost think there's got to be something to this.
And they were tying in real historical figures, events. It wasn't all, just happening in their heads.
But then you've got things like Kelly's memory lapses. How do you explain that? Was he making it up? Or was something else happening?
It's one of the most puzzling parts of the story. Some people say it was like a trance state, accessing information from somewhere else.
Yeah, or maybe it was the pressure, right? The weight of their mission, the fear of being called heretics. Maybe the visions were a way of coping, finding comfort in a world that felt out of control.
They were living through some crazy times, the Reformation, England's rise to power. All of that had to affect how they saw things.
So how do we reconcile those two possibilities? Real spiritual connection versus, well, psychology.
That's what's so cool about Liber Mysteriorum. It doesn't give you a straight answer. It's like it's saying, here's what we experienced, you decide.
It makes you think about your own beliefs.
Exactly. And that's why it still resonates today, right? We're still asking those questions about faith, knowledge, reality, still searching for meaning in a world that can feel pretty chaotic.
And just like Dee and Kelly, we might find ourselves exploring different paths, challenging the mainstream.
The key is, I think, to stay curious, but also think critically.
Be open to new ideas, but also realize we all have biases, we can fool ourselves. And maybe the most important thing is sometimes the truth isn't about having all the answers, it's about being okay with the mystery, the questions themselves.
Good point.
So we're at the end of our deep dive into John Dee's Liber Mysteriorum, and I think we've got more questions than answers.
Maybe that's the whole point. It's not about a neat conclusion. It's about letting yourself be challenged, expanding your perspective.
Yeah, appreciating the mystery, the search for knowledge, it never really ends.
And maybe the biggest takeaway from Dee and Kelly is it's not about what you believe. It's about how you keep searching, keep questioning, stay open to the possibility.
It's the journey, not the destination. So to everyone listening, keep exploring, keep questioning, keep diving deep into whatever fascinates you. You never know what you might find.